We came down from Darwin with the dust in our veins. We drove across the Nullarbor, driven by change. There were convoys from Melbourne and busloads from Cairns, where we camped at Wodonga and fueled up at Pheasant's Nest. And there were tears of hope singing through our liberated eyes as we scrawled freedom forever across our government's lives. As we scrawled freedom forever across all our government's lives. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that we were still your mates. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that it was not too late. But our country had gone crazy, corrupted by fear, and before us the long path was already flooded with tears. Yet in epic we were dancing, for we knew what we'd done. Together we'd made the birth of all our freedoms. And this new cry for liberty were the smiles in our hugs as the cops haunted our periphery like tyranny's new thugs. But for one night in Canberra we knew we were aglow, and our luminance was shining like a beacon of hope. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that we were still your mates. And we didn't come to start a war, and we didn't come to hate. Instead we came to remind you that it was not too late. From a showground called epic. So never forget how, by leading the way, we wrote a fresh song of freedom that you can still sing today. So sing like you've never sung before. Sing now like your soul's found its wings. Sing out like an echo through our time, until our grandchildren are born humming our lines. Until our grandchildren are born in the freedom's warm and glorious light. Until our grandchildren are born in the freedom's warm and glorious light.
There we are. Okay, hi everybody. We're in Whyalla. It's been, I think, 46 in Port Augusta, so it was pretty hot here, wasn't it?
Very warm.
Very warm. We're going to head down slowly to Port Lincoln, probably there in a day or two. And but what we thought we'd do, because we're just touring around now and grabbing what stories we can. We've got a story that we did with Phil that's going to put up yesterday, an interview with Phil, and we're on our way to Perth, and we're just hugging the coast because, well, Florence is old, and we're just
So we.
and so we're just taking it gingerly and seeing what we meet. And last time I was here was in March, the end of March 2022, with Cret and Wendy on the Deplorable tour, and a few other people were with us, and we did some interviews from that. Now, unfortunately, Facebook has taken a lot of those down, so they're not easy to find anymore. And so we're still going through them on the hard drives and stuff. But these are some of the ones we found, and they go from Port Pirie, Bullaroo, Sejuna, and other areas like that. And so yeah, so we're just going to play them for you. Maybe if you're in the movement and you're in this area, let people know that they might see themselves coming up. The first one I'm going to do is from Sejuna, where a beautiful man called Valentine and sung a song for us. I'm going to start with this song, and then we're going to go to Bullaroo, and then we're going to go to a mechanic in Port Germain. And the Bullaroo was a crowd. When I got to Bullaroo, was to interview people who worked in a bakery, who were defiant to the mandates then. And all these people filled the bakery. And I said to the lady, "Oh, look, I'll let you serve your customers, and then I'll resume the interview." And she said, "They're not my customers. They're here to talk to the Deplorables, our group." And so we did it as a combined thing. So I haven't looked at these for a while, so I haven't gone through these. We haven't had time. I'm just going to put them up. So forgive me if they're not all working. Or if there's only small bits, but let's get going. So this is Valentine singing his favorite song, and he sung this. It was cold. It was an evening in Sejuna, and he got outside and he sung this. It was
Now when I was a young man, I carried a pack, and I lived the free life of a rover. From the Murray's green basin to the dusty outback, well, I waltzed my Matilda all over. Then in 1913, the country said, "Son, it's time to stop roving, there's work to be done." So they gave me a tin hat and they gave me a gun, and they sent me away to the war. And the band played Waltzing Matilda as the ship pulled away from the quay. And midst all the tears, the flag waving and tears, we sailed off to Gallipoli. How well I remember that terrible day, how our blood stained the sand and the water, and how in that hell that they called Soother Bay, we were butchered like lambs to the slaughter. Johnny Turkey was waiting, he'd primed himself well. He rained us with bullets and he showered us with shells, and in 10 minutes flat he'd blown us all to hell. Nearly blew us right back to Australia. And the band played Waltzing Matilda when we stopped to bury the slain. We buried ours and the Turks buried theirs, and then we started all over again. And those that were left, well, we tried to survive in a mad world of death, blood and fire. And for nearly 10 weeks I kept myself alive, though around me the corpses piled higher. Then a big Turkish shell knocked me ass overhead, and when I woke up in my hospital bed, I saw what it had done, and I wished I was dead. Never knew there were worse things than dying, for I'll go no more waltzing Matilda all around the wild bush, far and free. To hump tent and pegs, a man needs both legs. No more waltzing Matilda for me. Then they gathered the sick and the crippled and maimed, and sent us back home to Australia. The armless, the legless, the blind and insane, brave wounded heroes of Suvla. And when our ship pulled into Circular Quay, I looked at the stumps where my legs used to be, and thank Christ there was nobody waiting for me. To grieve, to mourn and to pity, and the band played waltzing Matilda as they carried us down the gangway. But nobody cheered, they just stood there and stared. Then they turned their faces away. So every April my old comrades march, reviving old dreams and past glory, and I push my wheelchair out onto the porch and watch the parade pass before me. The old men march slowly, old bones stiff and sore, tired old men from a forgotten war. And the young people ask, what are they marching for? And I ask myself the same question, and the band played waltzing Matilda. The old men respond to the call, but as year follows year, more old men disappear. Someday no one will march there at all. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
What town are we in?
Boy!
And what are you?
Boys!
Okay, here we are. And we're in Bullaroo. I won't have to get all your names, but I am very interested in... so you're all in the resistance. I'm very interested in one question. And that is... what is Australia, or what was Australia, and what are we fighting for?
Freedom.
Define freedom.
firstly, I'd like to say my name's Joseph, the unvaccinated. I was in the Melbourne protest, blah, blah, blah. But the Australian ideals and values that we're kind of losing is the ability to really be ourselves, because we're having to hide being ourselves just to go along with something, not for our benefit, not for our best interest, but because we're all trying to do the right thing. And then there's a bunch of us like this that want everyone to go back to having the Australian lifestyle that we're used to, the fair income, true blue Aussie values of just being able to say g'day, because in other countries they're not as polite. You get on the bus, you say hello to the bus driver, they go, "Oh, you don't know me, don't talk to me." In Australia, "G'day mate, how are you?" And you have a quick chat with basically anyone. And all the rules they're bringing in is kind of just dividing us on left and right, and division is not really something we're about here in Australia. Just get amongst it, enjoy it. Yeah, that's my little piece there.
That's perfect. Anybody else? I'm going to move over here to Daisy. Is that really your name, or did you change it because it sounds cute?
All of the above.
Why are you here at a resistance group, and what do you think Australia is, or define the freedoms that we're losing?
Well, let me sort of fast forward and say I think it's all strange and really odd what's happening. Because like the other dude said, you can't see people's expression with the masks on, and if you've got a hat, a sunglasses and a mask, well, you know, people who are up to no good like to cover their faces, and that makes me feel a bit like, you know, maybe they're up to no good, or you can't see what their intentions are. If an animal comes towards you, like a cat, and they've got their ears back and their teeth showing and their tail's upright, you know they're up to, you know, no good. So with people, I really don't like them being covered. And
Do you wear a mask?
no. When I do sanding, I do, because that's common sense.
Yeah.
And
I was
it's
asked to wear.
probably good for my health. if
I was
I'm
asked to
sanding.
wear put on a mask in a bank yesterday, which I thought was really funny. I wondered how often in history people have been told, "Can you put a mask on?"
But I don't wear a mask because I'm not sick.
Yeah, that's great.
And you know, any time before when we had a cold or a flu or even gastro, you weren't told to put on, you know, cover up in latex or
Yeah.
or fabric or paper. So why now?
Same with AIDS.
You're true.
You remember?
Just
Yeah,
one
and
thing.
we didn't tell the people to
One thing
stop.
I'd like to sort of focus on is you're very used to saying "G'day mate, how are you?" and giving them a handshake. And
Yeah.
now the handshake in a normal Australian culture and just normal etiquette is being almost obliterated to the point where it's really hard just to have that conversation with people. And then when you do meet someone you know very well, it's very hard to be like, "Oh, I don't know if you'll accept this like etiquette anymore." But like, there's nothing to really replace it. It's kind of separating us from even people we do know.
That's the beauty of the marches and the protests. It's actually everyone hugs and shakes hands and stuff like this. How about yourself? What do you think we're losing as a country? Hey, Richard.
My concern is, and always has been, about being told you can't go in here unless you're double vaccinated. And I had a situation where one of the table tennis clubs I used to play in, they phoned me up and said, some people aren't coming because they're worried about you, but you can come if you wear a mask. And I said, well, I'm not going to chuck my principles away, so I won't come. Whatever. And also, I'm a bit concerned that we're becoming the Australian Socialist Republic, which is a bit of a worry because I've seen other socialist republics around the world over the years, and they're not the best.
No.
And for Australia to slide into that without putting up some sort of, hey, it's not for me, is not what should happen.
Yeah.
That's basically what I think about it.
That's brilliant.
There's probably
Anybody
lots
else
of
would
other
like to have a say?
Yeah, I'll have to say.
Sure.
Yeah, about a month ago, right, this has been going on for long. I'm Lynn, by the way.
Sit next to the dude.
I got COVID. Well, I suspect I got COVID. My husband tested positive, but I didn't have the test, so I just isolated with him for 10 days. And I near painted half the house. So
You painted half the house with COVID. Like the guy yesterday I met, he drove 13 hours with COVID.
And it's like I'm supposed to, all my not all, but family, friends, government, medical people have been telling me that I'm going to clog up the hospital, I'm probably going to die, and well, I didn't die. And I didn't really get sick. I had a bit of a cough,
That's
But
very
my
disobedient of you not to
my
die, by the way.
energy levels were just way over the top.
Yeah.
And yet my husband, who was vaccinated, really couldn't do much, and he's only just getting his taste back now. So I said, because I've been doing all this wonderful cooking, because I love cooking, and I said, I could have given you flour and water. You would have had it, because he couldn't taste. And his smell went, and it's like, all these things happened to him, and I was supposed to be the one that was to die.
Yeah.
And he didn't die.
It's very disobedient of you. How about anybody else? How about yourself? You want to have a chat? Anyone
I
else?
agree with what everyone's saying there.
You agree?
Everything. Yeah,
Yourself?
I agree with everything.
Anything else you want to add?
I just like the freedom of expression, to be able to, everyone's being silent.
The silence is
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm fed up with all that. So.
Well, the interesting thing is, and we've been saying this for a while now, is you can't fix the problem unless you talk about the problem. And they're getting to a point now where we're not even allowed to talk about the problem. You know, how about yourself? Would you like to have a say?
Well, my main concern is about somebody telling me what I should put in my body when I've got this far, at this age, without putting a single pharmaceutical product in my body, that someone should now say I can't go to these certain places unless I have a particular thing in my body. It's extremely strange to me. And I don't think I'll ever understand why I've worked at the hospital for years as a nurse.
You're a nurse?
Yes, and I've never had anything, never had the flu vax, and I always got all the shifts in winter because everyone had the flu. I was always well enough to do the shifts, and it's just extremely, it's insane. It's absolutely, it's insane. That's all I can say. It's just insane that somebody thinks they know my body better than me, who lives in it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And now we can't go to the steam and traction because it's vaccinated only. We can't go bowling, like we're retired.
Are you two together?
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're just excluded. I mean, it's a very small town.
Yeah.
And to be excluded from anything in a small town it's embarrassing, really.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. I don't wear a mask. And one incident happened last Friday. I went to the Port Pirie hospital because my husband had an appointment, and I hadn't been there for 3 years since his last appointment, and I was met with not the usual, how can I help you? It was a masked person, looked like a robot to me, behind a board with a big blue arrow that said go over here, and she was pushing these masks with her hands to us to put on. And I said, I'm not staying, I'm just making sure he's okay, and I'll stand outside. But there was this list of demands. No, it was demands. Have you been overseas? And I'm thinking, who's been overseas? Wake up. Who has been overseas? Have you been, are you sick? I'm thinking, oh, goodness sake. And so I could see that she could be replaced by a plastic robot in the next few years.
Yeah.
Every one of them behind a counter looked like a robot to me, repeating this thing. I couldn't see them. I can't actually, if someone's got a mask on, I can't identify them as a human. To be honest, in my eyes, they're no longer human. I can't see them. I don't know how to relate to them. I just walked out. That will be my last time through the front door of a hospital. I would rather die at home.
Wow. Now that's powerful. I don't want to worry you, but behind you is a deplorable.
She's already gone home.
Just go out. How would you like to have a say about anything?
Yeah, I could say plenty.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, we've just had an election here for the state. Australia has become a corporation. It's not a democracy. We're voting for rubber stamps and they can do absolutely nothing. It's corporations who run this country and we've got our hands tied. Our freedom is being lost.
Sold away.
Well and truly. And, when it comes to what's going on this present day, I mean, more people died in 2018 than has died in the last 3 years from this so-called dangerous thing that's out there.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous in what's going on. And they won't tell us what's in the stuff. And we know, quite obvious, that it doesn't work very well, because why do they have to have 3, 4, some places are going for the 5th jab. I mean, they'll have that many pinholes in them, they'll leak.
Yeah, you'd be like a kid, then.
Yeah, well, this is right. It's absolutely, ridiculous what's happening. But, we've got to change it somehow and stop the rot and get people to wake up to what they've done to their bodies. They've ruined, well, not ruined, but they've knocked their immune system for a 6 to start with.
Yeah.
So any disease and virus that's going to float around, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
Whereas, the ones that haven't been jabbed, they've been living healthy, looking after themselves, and they'll go through that and probably won't get hit with it. Here's another nurse here too.
Another nurse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ex-nurse.
I'm a retired registered nurse midwife of nearly 50 years.
Wow.
And my reason for refusing to be vaxxed is there is no scientific evidence that it is safe. The politicians, the news media, everybody says it's safe and are trying to force people to get the jab. There is absolutely no scientific evidence to say that it is safe. And information is now being released through freedoms of information from Pfizer, and they have got an astronomical long list of adverse events.
Special events, they called it.
Yes.
Adverse of special interest. So it's not all of them, it's just the one that interests them.
Yeah, but fortunately
Look at that, we didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, fortunately the court has forced them to release more information than they were prepared.
Yeah, they wanted to hide it for
release.
50 years.
75 years.
Yep.
75 years.
75
Yeah.
years someone died.
Yes.
Yeah, I might just go back here. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Oh, look, I could say lots.
I'll just come in. Would you like to say anything?
I find it really interesting that, there's always been this big push for education, and yet it doesn't matter how many pieces of paper you have, suddenly you're unemployable.
Yeah.
I have diplomas, I have a degree.
What do you do?
So I've been in child.
We're outcasts now.
An
Lepers.
outcast, yeah.
Yeah.
And yet there's a shortage of people in all of these positions.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to bring them in from overseas.
Well, the training nurses, the training teachers now interviewed someone yesterday. I've got to put it up. The training teachers for a 4-week course or something, so you can become a teacher and teach the kids, rather than in re-employing unvaccinated teachers. Yeah.
I'm an unvaccinated teacher.
So you're hearing that?
Yes, definitely.
And so you've had to walk away as well, or been sacked?
I'm trying not to walk away. I'm
Yeah.
trying to hold my ground, but that's very difficult with the South Australian Education Department.
Yeah.
So they're trying to eliminate me, trying to eliminate my contact with the department. So I'm trying to hold my ground with the local school. So the local school are actually wanting me there, but the department is not. So I hope that I will get back there one day. I'm also a counsellor, so an issue today, I would like to go and visit an ex-student that is suicidal and not able to go to the hospital to do that. So, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? How about you, Mr. Handsome Man?
Handsome? I'm going bold, mate.
Okay, I'll just get you in now if you squeeze in. There's 3 things I saw today of interest. One is the newspapers or the mass media is saying there's a super cold going around with COVID-like symptoms. And I was wondering what you thought about that. The other thing is that the Daily Mail came out today and said we're going to need at least 6 jabs to be safe. So that's out today. And New Zealand is dropping all the mandates.
Yes.
So if New Zealand drops them, why do we have them here?
This is next, guys, from Port Germain, which is a small port near Port Pirie and he was a mechanic, and he's talking about how difficult it was to
I'll
be a
come in from here. There's, first off, before we start, how'd you get the name Pixie?
Oh, my last name's Pix.
Oh,
yeah, it's as simple as that.
Simple as that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so we're here in Port Germain. Port Germain,
South Australia.
And we were talking last night, and rather than talking about all the vaccine and stuff like that, we're going to talk about the economics and the problem you're facing running an auto shop. Why don't you get into it?
Well, basically, we're 300 kilometres out of Adelaide, so it takes a little bit for freight and parts like that. Normally, before COVID and all that, it would take us 3 to 4 days to get parts for something like European or Mercedes and all that sort of stuff. Whereas now we're getting to the point where it's taking us, this car for instance, took 3 weeks to get new valves out of Sydney to get here, 2.5 weeks to get a gasket kit in. We are backlogged with about 6-7 cars outside, 5 cars in here. We just can't get the parts, and it's getting out of control. We're in a little town of 300 people. You go into Port Pirie, those mechanic shops in there have 20 to 30 cars all lined up out the front. It's the same everywhere.
And what's the issue?
Well, all we can put it down to is all the truck drivers laid off from not having the vaccines and stuff like that. So all the freight companies out here are screaming out for truck drivers, but if they're not vaxxed, they can't get the jobs. No truck drivers, trucks don't move.
And Australia stops.
Australia stops.
So this is Australia stopping.
This is Australia stopping. This is our workshop piling up.
Yeah, cool. Same with this one?
This one here, that needed a new head. That took 5 weeks to get the head in for this one, which same again would normally only take 5 to 6 business days.
So this is, if you are a tourist driving around Australia and something like this happens, you could be stuck for 6-7 weeks.
Yes, that's, in this case, the bloke didn't need his car, he's got another car. If this was a family car, that's a family without a car for 5 to 6 weeks before the parts arrive, and then we've got to fit them.
And same with sort of the grey nomads, all these people driving around, their vehicle guns, they're stuck wherever.
Yes, we had a van come in a few weeks ago, and he was stuck here for nearly 2 weeks waiting for a head for his van to come out of Sydney. It's not an international thing, it's the parts are here in Australia, they just don't move. We can track them, watch them, see where they are, they're just not moving.
So it truly is a logistics problem.
It's all coming down to logistics to get the parts we need. It's as simple as that. Australia stops.
Extraordinary. That's it. Unless there's anything else you want to say? Yeah, it's cool. You're doing really well.
Yeah. So basically, we've had at least 10 customers that have had their cars booked in, come in, diagnosed, and they need major repairs. And then within weeks, for instance, like a couple of them worked at a local hospital and stuff like that, they've lost their jobs. So the first thing they do is worry about their money. They come straight here and they cancel the job. Then now these cars are sitting at people's houses. They can't afford to repair them because they haven't got work. And that is business loss for us as well.
And they've lost their jobs because they don't want to take the jab.
Yes, exactly. That's the case in every single one of those.
And if that's happening here in this small town, this tiny town, then in a bigger town like Port Pirie or Port Augusta, it'd be a much bigger issue.
Yeah, we're talking 10 people in a town of 300 people. I would hate to think what it would be like in the major cities. It would be out of control.
Wow.
It's insane.
Okay, and so if you don't have the parts and you're stuck here with all these cars, and these cars are basically, you can't do anything with them, what do you end up doing during the day?
Well, basically, our parts are coming in so slow and so little, we're getting half the parts for the vehicles at a time. We do what we can with those parts in the vehicle, and by lunchtime we run out of parts to continue doing the job, and then we're standing around for the rest of the afternoon. No income, you can't charge people to walk around waiting for parts. and we're losing income. We're only getting half days work.
So it's seriously affecting your bottom line.
It's seriously affecting both of us. Me and my business partner, we've both got families, partners. We're losing income flat out.
And how long has that been going on?
That's been going on for over 12 months.
Wow.
It got a real lot worse with the truck drivers, and then it's just ridiculous now.
Could it get to a point where you'd have to consider closing up?
It's come close to that quite a few times in the last 3 to 4 months. It's come very close to that.
Which means
I checked out Port Pirie because I need the alternator, and it's actually said that his business had closed down. So I don't know if it is, so I don't know what's happened to him. But yeah, anyway, we're going through another town. I can't remember what this town was. It was a tiny little town in South Australia, maybe Crystal Brook or something like that. And this man came and approached us, and he had an incredible story, and really shook home how Australia in 2022 really was Goodbye Road, and this was one of the orphans of Goodbye Road. There's going to be a few more orphans coming on, but this man's really moved us with his story. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm in the same area now, and we're heading in Whyalla now, then we're heading down to Port Lincoln, where there's an interview I want to do, in Streaky Bay, and then up to Ceduna. So it's just seeing if these people are still out here, what their journey's been like. It's just reminding people that this actually happened.
Here's our first interview for the day. G'day, mate. What's your name?
Peter.
Peter. And what town is this?
This is Whyalla in South Australia.
Whyalla. Now, you just told me you lost your job yesterday.
Yes, I'm from Darwin.
Are you from Darwin?
I got stood down on the 10th of November and finally got sacked yesterday because I wouldn't take the jab.
And what was your job?
I've been a rigging and height safety inspector for 20 years.
Wow.
And Gunner up in Darwin brought in their mandate for the jab. I refused to take it, so they stood me down without pay. And then the company I work for decided they would mandate it as well. And I basically told them still to stick it up their arse.
How'd you end up here from Darwin?
I was renting in Darwin, and I was basically I'd worked out when I'd used up all my annual leave and all my sick leave, and decided I can't afford to live up there without money coming in. I'd set up an allocated pension out of my super, but it wasn't enough to cover the cost of living. And I've got a Mitsubishi Express van, fully solar equipped and all the rest of it. And I just thought, no, I'm not having a jab, so I'm not going back there to work, it's time to hit the road. So I've been on the road now for 6 weeks, I think.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe you should consider joining us.
And I'll pull out of here tomorrow morning.
Where are you heading?
I'm doing an 18k trek over to Redcliffe Reserve, which is a free camping area. I'm going to spend 2 days there, and then I'm going to go to Clare, so I can do some shopping. I'll be out of food by then, and work out where I'm going to go from there.
So you're now a gypsy?
Yeah.
A gypsy?
Gypsy and liking it.
A gypsy and liking it. So our society has said if you don't comply, you can't be a part of it, and you just hit the road.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, they can stick their society up their arse the way they're going.
So basically, you're one of the, like us, you're one of the new Australians. You're just this drifter now, really.
Yeah. The fact that they're not only breaking Australian law, but they're breaking all the international laws as well. And everybody thinks it's fine. Well, no, it's not fine. If you don't have bodily integrity, you've got nothing left.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the first emails I sent through to my HR, when they come up with all this, I said, well, what do you want? Do you want slaves? Because that's all we are, and I'm not going to be part of it.
Well, you're not a slave now, man. You might not have a home, you're not a slave. What's your dog's name?
Lou. Actually...
Hey, Lou. Lou?
No, you got no show. You got the dog over the road. Well, actually, I am a slave. I'm a slave to Blue. But as far as society goes, no, I just do what I want to do now. And
You're a free man.
um,
Are you surprised that it's come to this though for our country?
not really. I'm in my early 60s, so I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of was government overreach. Probably the worst one was when they banned all the guns.
Yeah.
Banning guns is not going to stop violence. Most of the people that had guns were law-abiding citizens. Most of the people now that have got guns are criminals. And that's where they're not going to stop it. A criminal's always going to be a criminal, and if he wants to go out and kill somebody, he's going to do it. If he's got a gun, he'll do it with a gun. If it's a knife, he'll do it with a knife. He'll do it however he has to do it. And the government's just taking away freedoms and freedoms that they've been on for 30 odd years.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And most of their so-called laws are absolute bullshit. I'm sorry for swearing, but that's all it is. It's just bullshit. I got my driver's license at 16 years old, and at that time you could ride a motorbike without a helmet. Cars didn't have seat belts. I can remember sitting in the back of the ute, just on the floor of the ute, and you'd go through town, you'd go miles like that, and nothing was ever said. Now, oh no, you've got to be restrained. You might hurt yourself. Come on, live in the real world. Take some risk. The government's not there to bloody protect us. It's up to us.
Wasn't he a beautiful man? And I actually judged him when I saw him. I thought, oh, who's this guy, you know? And but instead, he was one of us. And now this next woman did take the vaccination to get back from New Zealand to see her grandparents. This was one of the most powerful interviews I've ever done. You might need your tissues for this one. I think it goes for about 10, 15 minutes. But Cret was with me, and both of us we interviewed. We did her in a shed. There's another family talking. They couldn't hear us. There's a big, beautiful black car behind her. This was in Ceduna, and yeah, this interview really made our little tour group realize we were capturing something extraordinary. So here we go. Here we go.
Here's our first interview.
Let's start with
you.
What's your name?
Jessica.
And we're in Ceduna.
Yes.
Now you have an extraordinary story. I'm going to let you start.
Okay. So I grew up in this region, and I moved away as a teenager to go to school and university and whatnot, and then
You became?
And I became an architect. About 4 years ago, I moved to New Zealand for a change of scene, and I've been living there ever since and working for myself as an architect. My family are all still back here. You've probably seen some of them talking on this today. And my parents still live here, basically everyone except me. So back in... so New Zealand obviously shut down their borders and shut down their country quite severely to keep COVID out for a long time. I live in a small town in the South Island, which up until about a month ago didn't even have COVID. There was no sign of it, so it was kept out really effectively. I work for myself. I am probably in the top 1% of the world population that COVID, it just wasn't there. You know, I was very safe. I was very protected from it. I'm a 37-year-old healthy woman. I don't have any pre-existing health conditions.
You exercise and stuff?
I exercise a lot. The town that I live in is an alpine town. It's an adventure sport town. There's a lot of fitness people. So by comparison, I'm probably actually not that fit. But, you know, I'm fit enough.
You look very fit.
Thanks. Anyway, had I didn't want to get the vaccine for a number of reasons. I had several debates with my friends over how it and the mandates were an offence to freedom, and what was, the point of having safety from a vaccine when it abolishes that fundamental human right to freedom of choice and freedom over your body. Anyway,
What was the other thing you said about you had an instinct?
Yeah, my intuition just strongly told me not to have it. So, when you're having these conversations with people and they're like, oh, but what about the stress on the public health system? What about your duty to the community to protect them and keep them safe by, having the vaccine? I was like, yeah, I understand all of those things. I'm not against that. I'm not out to harm people by not having a vaccination, but I just strongly felt that I shouldn't have it. And I couldn't shake that feeling. And I struggled with that for a long time, and so I put off making a decision around it for as long as I could. And then my parents are quite elderly, and they had a couple of bad health turns towards the end of last year, and that's coincided quite spectacularly with the changes to the border restrictions and being able to travel between New Zealand and South Australia specifically, and the other states. And it just became kind of critical for me, and it made my decision for me, because I didn't want to be stuck in New Zealand and not be able to come back here to see my family if something happened to my parents, most specifically, but in general. And so I felt like that was my reason for having the vaccination, against my inner knowing. So I booked it in, and actually a couple of times I booked it in and cancelled it because I couldn't do it. And my sister is very strongly, she feels the same way. She thinks that it's an untested drug and blah, blah, blah. So she was in my ear about that, and I was like, it'll be okay, don't worry about it. The risk, I know that there's risks, and, I know that could happen, but I'll be fine. Anyway, I had the vaccination, and I was fine for about a week, and then I started to progressively go downhill quickly. Well, acutely. I got a migraine, and I've had a couple of migraines in the past, in a few years, which were mild in comparison and different. This one felt excruciating and emotionally.
How long did it last?
I had it for 3 or 4 days, and then I went to the doctor because I woke up one morning and I was just in tears, in pain, and I couldn't do anything. So I was just laying on the floor, and I had to ask a friend to take me to the doctor because I couldn't.
Taking any painkillers like Panadol or anything?
I'd taken Panadol and Nurofen as much as I could. It wasn't doing anything, and normally with a headache I don't like to take painkillers if I can help it. So I'd pumped myself with as much Nurofen and Panadol as I could, and it wasn't working. So I couldn't. I was sensitive to light. I was nauseous and just crying. I just had this personality change, and I started. Anyway, they took me to the doctor. My friend took me to the doctor, and he gave me a quick rundown and was like, "Oh, I think you've just got a bad headache," and gave me an injection of Voltaren and anti-inflammatory stuff, and sent me home to bed, and that helped. I went back to sleep. I slept it off for a day, and I woke up the following day and felt a bit better. I was able to get up and do something, and so I went about my day. And then I was noticing now in hindsight that my mood was really off. My personality, I was feeling quite agitated and grumpy, and I was kind of picking fights with friends that I wouldn't usually do. I was just out of sorts. And I went to bed that night, and my migraine was coming back. And then I woke up a few hours later in the middle of the night and I was paralysed. So I wasn't thinking straight. I had lost my capacity to discern what was real and what wasn't, like kind of like I was dreaming, but my arms were, they'd gone numb and they were all limp, and I couldn't speak. I went to try and say something like help or whatever. I tried to speak and I couldn't form a word. I couldn't use my phone. I sort of was going in and out of this conscious state where I would realise that something was wrong. I thought maybe I was having a stroke or something. And then, like a second later, I would lose it and I wouldn't know what was happening and I wouldn't be able to, I couldn't do anything. And I just had these flashbacks later. So somehow I ended up out in the living area and my housemate heard me, and it was the middle of the night. So luckily she woke up and she was the one who had taken me to the doctor. And so she found me and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I couldn't speak. I couldn't say anything. I was just stupefied. I couldn't walk properly. So she called the ambulance and they came quickly, but then they couldn't work out what was happening to me, and I don't really remember this. I don't know if this is accurate or not because I was going in and out of consciousness, but essentially my brain just shut down. So and they flew me off in a helicopter because where I live is in a remote town. They flew the helicopter to the Dunedin ICU, and I was already going into a coma, I'm pretty sure. I was going in and out of consciousness, but then they put me into an induced coma for 3 or 4 days, and I got encephalitis, which is inflammation of the brain. I've recovered pretty well. I was in hospital in total for 2 weeks. When I woke up, I have got a traumatic brain injury, so basically brain damage to my frontal lobe. I lost my ability for a few days when I first woke up. I lost my ability to speak properly with my word recall. I lost my functionality. I didn't know my left and right, so I was utterly confused about all kinds of things. I couldn't really walk without falling over.
Did the doctors say what it was?
No, they've put it now as encephalitis, autoimmune ? Possible vaccine. So they all on record. The doctor that I had there, she submitted a report to the New Zealand organisation as a vaccine injury, and to get an exemption for me for getting any other vaccinations. And in that report, it stipulates that it was highly likely caused by the vaccine. They tested me from here to there with everything, and they couldn't find any other cause for the encephalitis because it can be from bacterial infections or tick bites or anything like that. So there was no other cause found. They did a zillion different tests. And yet I got an exemption, which is pretty hard to come by, but it was a temporary 3-month one from the New Zealand Ministry of Health, so they recognised it. I still haven't heard anything from CALM in terms of it being registered as a vaccine injury. And all the doctors there, the doctor that I had, the neurologist, the other neuro person, all have told me kind of off the record, definitely do not get another vaccine. My GP has put it on record and said do not get another vaccine, but there's a lot of resistance there with them being able to have any power over saying, and a lot of fear there to say it. I overheard when I was on the ward and I had sort of come back into my senses a bit. Sorry, is this raving on too long? I could overhear my hospital bed was near the reception desk, and they were talking about it, and I could hear them outside my hospital bedroom, and they were like, "This is a lawsuit waiting to happen." Like these vaccine injuries, not just mine specifically, but the way that it's being handled and the lack of power that they have to do their job basically, and report accurately on what's going on is not there. There's too much red tape for them, which is really alarming. Anyway, so that has happened to me.
The full interview is on Cafe Locked Out. I was going to move on. This is in Whyalla. I interviewed these two wonderful, mature women. Just really stole the show that day.
Let's just jump right in. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Helen. I live here in Whyalla. I'm Lisa. I also live here in Whyalla.
Now squeeze in this side, Lisa,
Okay.
so you're closer.
Hang on. Right, okay, it's over my left. All right.
Now tell me what you just told me, which just took my breath away.
I have elderly parents, and I'm really, really concerned. When COVID broke out, my parents said they were not going to have the vaccination because it was a trial. They went to their doctors, who actually forced them, frightened them into having the vaccination. They said, if you do not have this vaccination, you are going to die. I'm absolutely mortified for elderly, Australia globally wide, that have been forced by fear by their doctors to actually have this trial medication that has been known worldwide not to work. It's actually the vaccinated that are actually spreading the virus.
Can I ask, did you approach the doctor afterwards to ask why he did that?
No, I actually asked my parents, and Mum said, look, I've got lung problems, love, and I really don't want to catch the virus. I'm frightened. They locked themselves down in their house. None of us kids were allowed to visit because they were so frightened, and their kids, some of them are vaccinated and some of us are not. But to put the fear into people, if you don't comply with this is what's going to happen. You're going to die. It's just so very scary.
How about you?
Same thing. When this first all started, this is the third year, we fell for it. Hook and sinker, right?
Yeah.
Because we are older people. I'm 71, 72 this year. My husband nearly 80. So they told us the over 65s are the most vulnerable, and we were likely to die if we do catch COVID. So it was the mass hysteria thing, I think, which got to us. And I did everything. I did the QR code. I made masks for half of the bloody town. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. Because I believed that. Then we went into lockdowns and told us we just need 2 weeks to flatten the curve. But nothing happened. 2 weeks went over and it was worse than before. And then my husband and myself, we said, if there's ever going to be a vaccine, we will have that. We'll protect ourselves. So they rolled out the vaccine. And one morning we were watching the news, and it was the Adelaide news, and this newsreader read out that 29 people in Norway in an aged care home had died after they had the AstraZeneca, right? But they were old people and vulnerable, and they only had a few weeks to live anyway, so it didn't matter. And the alarm bell, that was our turning point. Alarm bells started ringing, and they just got louder and louder. They never stopped. Right? So after that, I started doing research, and I have done so much research in the last 2 years. My head should be exploding, really. I've never been interested in politics or anything like that, but this has just shaken me to the core, because I grew up after the war in Germany, right? So I have seen what segregation does to people, what fear does to people, and how nasty people will turn if there's no food or no water. I've seen the after effects of the war. And we're heading in the same direction, because when we were in lockdown and only allowed to go to the shop once a week, people were fighting over bloody toilet paper. And we had the police come into the shopping center one day because people were fighting, physically fighting over stuff. And then they made us, the old people, come at 7 o'clock in the morning so we could have some toilet paper.
That's correct.
I mean, how ridiculous is that? How... And I think the biggest fear, and that's what I said in my letter I wrote to Suzanne, was that the medical attention, I'm worried we can't get no medical attention because the doctors won't see us now because we're not jabbed, right? But the even greater thing is the fear if one of us would have to go into aged care and the other one would not be able to go and see them.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most scary thing in the whole world to me, that I might die on my own, right? That they lock down the aged care home. And I mean, how scary is it to be when you and your husband promise each other that if either of us would turn up, would have to go into aged care, we would not get the jab. I mean, how sad a world do we live in?
Yeah.
And at my age, I should be home sitting in my garden drinking cups of tea and not having to worry that I might die on my own. And that's what I said to Suzanne. If I was diagnosed with dementia tomorrow, Margaret, I promise you I would end it all, because I would know exactly where it's going to go. I would finish up eventually in care, and we've seen what happens to people in care. They get jabbed whether they like it or not. And that is my biggest fear, and I won't let that happen to myself.
Yeah.
So that's really, in a nutshell, that's it. That's my biggest fear, and that's what I said to Suzanne. I don't want you to fight for my age pension or an increase. It's important, but not as important as what's happening right now in the world. And people just don't see it. I put on my Facebook page that our Prime Minister has bought 150 million doses of vaccine for a population of just under 25 million. I said, people, do the maths, wake up. And nobody says a bloody word.
Yeah.
Out of 150 friends on
Why do you think
Facebook,
they don't say a word?
Scared. They're scared. And the ones who aren't scared, the ones who are waking up, they're now angry at us because we didn't do the compliance. And then they fight with us up and say we're still stupid, And I have people, like, they will stand, friends or neighbors, they will stand 4 meters away from me when they see me at the fence. Talk to me 4 meters away from me because I'm not vaccinated. And one neighbor said to me after they were vaccinated, and I told her I wasn't, she said, oh, you won't be able to go nowhere, no restaurant, no nothing. So that doesn't worry me. She said, oh, you won't be able to go to the hospital. And guess what? Now I can see now. So what did the vaccine actually do? What did it do?
Yeah.
It took all the freedom away from people.
Yeah.
And you know what gets me most? That the government took bits and bits and bits and bits in slow doses, and people just complied, and they gave them little bits back slow, and people were delirious with happiness because all of a sudden they would go in the bar or in the restaurant, and they thought that was wonderful. And it was a freedom that took away from them in the first place, and they just don't get it. They do not get it, and I do not understand.
I would like to say I just wish that people would stop being sheep. The government are dangling a carrot in front of them. It's our bodies, it's our choice what we put in it, and we should not be punished in any shape, form or manner for making a choice. People need to stand up for their rights. Our human rights are being taken away from us little by little. If you do not do this, we are going to punish you and not let you do X, Y, and Z. It has to stop, people. You need to wake up. Sheep, please wake up. The government is lying to you every day. Social media, it doesn't matter whether it's the television, the radio, the newspaper, every day for 2 years, this psychotic episode is happening globally, and it just has to stop. Switch off your TVs. Go and talk to your neighbour. Don't cut off your family because one is jibbly-jabbly and the other one isn't. We're all the same. Please, people, wake up.
Okay, great. I have to end it there because I've got to do my show, but thank you so much. We're in
Port Lincoln.
What's your name?
Troy Pace.
Troy, I'll just get you to look at me, and that thing will get your handsome face from there.
Yeah, okay.
But what are you doing here with the resistance?
Fighting for freedom. Not really. Through this whole thing, it's just been crazy. I think just all these mandates and all that sort of thing. I've sort of been watching your shows and things like that on Facebook, and hoodie and all those sort of people, and sort of almost living through you guys in a way. We had a protest down here, or two, and went to both of those, and because I could, I just because I lost my job in disability support.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So you got a job with disabilities?
Yeah, I used to work in disability support work.
Which sort of clients did you work with?
Well, we had a whole range of clients. Mostly, we had some that were sort of spinal injury clients, and also some that had MS and that type of thing.
How'd you go with that work? Because that's pretty emotionally demanding work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I used to really love it. You know, I used to really enjoy it. You know, I like to help people, and I used to really love that job. And it was the first time I really lost a job where the supervisors sort of saying that you're excellent at what you do, and we don't want to lose you and all that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Why did you decline to take the jab in order to keep the job?
Well, back in 2013, I had a adverse reaction to a flu shot, and I thought that might have been enough to get an exemption.
How bad was the reaction?
It was an anaphylaxis reaction, and what happened is I went in and they said, oh yeah, we've got some flu shots left over from the elders, you know, you're welcome to have one if you want to, and of course I didn't really know much about vaccines back then, so I said, yeah, all right, no worries, and so I had the shot, and a little bit later, you know, you wait for 10 minutes in the waiting room, and just to make sure you're not going to keel over, I suppose, and it should have been a bit of a warning sign, because when I was waiting, there was an old lady just sitting across from me. Everyone in the waiting room was on their phones and stuff, and I sort of don't like to sit there on my phone, so I was just sort of looking around the room, and this lady had come out just after getting her flu shot, and she was sitting across from me, and she sort of just went bolt upright and started to keel over, and I sort of looked around, no one else had seen it, and I got up and sort of put my hand on her to make sure she didn't sort of go right over, and I had to tap the lady next to us on the shoulder and say, hey, can you go get the nurse, because something's happening here, you know, and so she went over, and the nurses came over and said, oh yeah, she's just had her vaccine, you know, and they sort of took her in the treatment room. And
I'll be meeting this guy the next few days, so we'll do a follow-up interview and try to fix the audio. This was in Port Pirie. This was hilarious. This was a woman who taught us something that she did for her health, which was surprising to all of us.
Your name, love?
My name's Carol.
Carol.
I've been back here in Port Pirie about 2 years.
2 years?
And we've been talking about urotherapy.
Before we go that, you've just admitted you're not jabbed?
I'm not jabbed, no.
So there's quite a few people out here not jabbed.
Not. Yes.
Must be a little pocket of resistance out here.
A little handful, yeah. Yeah, and well, we stick by our guns, those that are not, yeah, because you got to.
And now you were just saying, let's come around, you were just saying, talking about, what was that therapy?
Urotherapy.
Urotherapy. And what's urotherapy?
You drink part of your own urine.
Uh-huh.
So you can't drink the first bit because it's full of acid. Because, your liver cleanses, is your cleanser, so you don't drink the first bit. I use it, put in my lemon tree, to be honest.
Oh, you actually do it?
Yep.
Okay, so you do it.
I have been since late last year.
Okay.
And
how much do you drink?
Now I drink a cup a day.
So you drink a cup of your own urine a day?
Yes,
and I'm trying not to make fun of you, but it does sound strange.
I know, that's the thing, people think it's, ugh, but guess what?
But what did you call it?
Urotherapy.
Yeah, but no, what did you call it? A fountain of...
Fountain of youth is what it's called, yeah.
So the fountain of youth is in your own urine?
Yes, it is, but you can't, like I say, you can't drink the first part.
Can't drink the first part.
It does have the acid. So you give that, like a bloke pees on a lemon tree, you give the first part of the urine that has the acid, put it on your lemon tree, and then you have to get the midstream. So you get some of that, and then you let
cool
the
it down?
last streams, could be the first
Do you put it in the fridge?
You let it cool down, and then, you can go further. You can you can, if you get enough wee from your first wee, which you normally do, you can you get away. Way too much information for this town, but anyway, yeah, I have these little jars about this big, and yep, whatever I take from the middle of the wee.
Do you mix it with anything?
I save that. Yeah, I have some juice, but I have drunk it neat. And
what juice do you drink? Apple juice? Because it looks the same.
Well, you know, the best bet really is a bit of fresh lemon and water.
Lemon and water.
Sort of kills the thing a bit, but you just got
kills
just
the
don't
kills
think
the
about
fact that it tastes like water.
Just think about it and know that it's going to help you with all sorts of different
How long have you been
ailments.
doing
it? Since the 30th of November last year.
And you feel better for it?
Yeah, I've got bits of my body that were really quite achy, and they seem to have calmed down. I had this other problem, but that's calmed down as well.
Wow.
That's to do with the behind, but.
Well, I'm going to put this up, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see the comments.
Oh, and seriously, yeah, but you have to persevere. Dr. Groups shared a clip on his.
I've actually passed Port Germain, so I didn't get to meet Carol again. I don't know if she's still there. This was from Port Pirie.
Where are we?
Port Pirie.
And what's your name?
I'm Daphne.
And Daphne, this is our gathering. Our truck's over there.
Yes,
and now I'm going to interview Daphne. You'll be seeing it later.
Oops. I have one more to finish, which is one of my favorite ones while I'm just having dinner. When I was in Adelaide, we pulled up outside the biggest vaccination centre, and it was across the road from that. And we had a huge poster. So it was the size of used to be one of the sides of the truck, but we brought it with us. And it was just pictures of people who've been vaccine injured. And we held it up on our side of the road as all the people were going in and out to get the COVID test or get tested or to get vaccinated or whatever. No one stopped, no one talked to us. People just looked at us vaguely and went on. And there was just lines and lines and lines and lines of people going in to get it. It's when you look back now, it's extraordinary. Anyway, but this came up to us when we were there. Sorry, eating. Came up to us when we were there, and she was a Muslim. And what she said to me off camera, she goes, "I'm not allowed to hug men, but I'm hugging you." I'll never forget that. It's one of the most beautiful things that happened on the thing. Here she is.
Could you please tell me your name?
So my name's Daniela.
Daniela, and now why have you come down to visit Charlotte, the Truck of Freedom?
Well, I just came down because I've been following you since you were in Canberra, and I just had this big urge to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for reaching out, for doing everything that you're doing.
And how are the mandates affecting you? You don't have to say if you don't want to.
No, that's fine. Well, I just actually lost my job, physically.
What were you doing?
I was working in medical admin. I lost it actually, I was stepped down, sorry, tell a lie, at the start of the mandate, so in November last year. And I actually just got my letter of, what do you call it, termination.
How did that feel?
Yeah, it was like a knife in the gut.
Because I'm guessing you probably worked really well at the job.
I actually only just got the job just prior to that. And so, and before I started, I did ask, is there going to be anything that is required of the job? I was thinking futuristic.
Yeah.
Whether there was going to be, vaccines, and said, no, it's going to be okay. All right, no worries. So I took it, and going a little bit back, I left like traditional health because a lot of the things that I was doing was against what then my core beliefs were. So I left it.
And what are your core beliefs, just out of interest?
I think just having our, we're born with an innate well-being, an innate health. And I believe that anything that we put into our bodies should, welcome good health, from natural remedies, natural whole grain, whole foods. And when you're working in traditional medicine, and then you see like just little things that are not adding up to what you then believe in. Like, yeah, I don't know, something's really not right here. And that really started when I had my son, you know, or a little bit beforehand. And I, you know, when he was immunised, you know, that gut feeling, you know, you just really got to follow that. And I didn't at that stage.
Do you think a gut feeling is the voice of God?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's, you know, if we tune into that gut feeling, that innate wisdom, it's what God, you know, whatever you want to call it, I call him Allah, but it's God, you know, it's something bigger than what we are, you know. And he gives us those, that divine knowing, you know, to, you know, even now what I'm speaking is, yes, it's coming from me, but, you know, the wisdom doesn't come from me, you know, it comes from somewhere else. And so, yeah, and that gut feeling that I got coming on 10 years ago, and I didn't listen to it, and now I kick myself. But, you know, alhamdulillah, like, thanks be to God, I've been able to really hone in on that, and I'm really grateful for that.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Well, and do you speak any language other than English?
yes, so I'm Italian background.
You're Italian?
So I speak Italian.
Say something in Italian about why people should fight for freedom in Italian.
Oh, that one's going to be a bit tricky for me at the moment, because my Italian is
Keep
rusty.
it simple.
Yeah. Allora, la libertà è per tutti, è una cosa molto importante, non solo per me, per te, per tutti gli altri. È una cosa, libertà viene da Dio, non da noi. I said, so freedom is like for you, for me, for everyone, and freedom comes from God. Actually, I was only saying this to my son in the car, driving here. You know, real freedom comes from within. It doesn't come from something outside us. You know, someone can dangle a carrot in front of you, but that carrot is not going to give me freedom if I don't have it here. And that's what I really go by. Sorry.
I love it.
I just get so passionate about it.
Yeah, I love the passion. It's what I love. It's great. And we're just about to leave. I'm so glad you pulled up in time.
I honestly just saw it on like the live from this morning, and I said, I'm going down. I don't care. My son's like, where are you going? I said, I don't know yet. I'm just going. There's someone there. There's someone there. There's not. It's, you know, it's all from God.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we met. So
Oh, me
thank you.
too. Me too. Thanks so much.
No, thank you.
I'm going. What's that?
That was beautiful. I'm going to end on a beautiful one, a really uplifting one of my most important ones that I think I've actually written her into a play. But first off, I'm going to play this interview. Now, this woman had lost her husband, and she saw the world just getting darker, and she was losing her grip. And we interviewed her, and this was her last ever interview, because further down the road, we got a notice that she left us. So I'd like to play this, and she was, I believe, from Whyalla.
What's your name?
Joanne.
And we're in Whyalla.
Mm-hmm.
And you came up yesterday to be interviewed, and I noticed you were always on the verge of tears or almost crying.
Yep.
Why is that?
Mostly because, here we go, because my husband died 8 months ago, and it was a bit traumatic, so, and I miss him.
How long were you together?
We met in 1991.
So almost 30 years?
Yep.
Yeah. What happened?
Just over. He died of esophageal cancer. He was supposed to have 3 months to live, but he only lasted 6 weeks.
Oh. I'm sorry. There's was he from here?
No, he was born in Burke, actually. He was headed to Western Australia many years ago and didn't get past Whyalla. Got a job at BHP. Met his second wife, which wasn't me. And then we met in 1991.
So you're the third
Three.
one?
Third marriage for both of us.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that one worked?
The longest one, yes. It was good for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're travelling the country sort of asking stories about COVID and stuff, but so why, even though you'd lost your husband, why did you come down to meet us?
I've been following Cafe Lockdown since the Canberra protest started. Maybe a bit later, but yeah, I haven't been able to get to Canberra yet. I do want to. We've always been anti-COVID vaccines. All of my children are vaccinated, but back in about 2014 I did some research and can't figure out how to forgive myself for putting them through that. Because I researched the ingredients. That was all I did. I just went to the Australian Government Health website, got the ingredients list and researched it, and I couldn't work out what was going on. Why they were putting formaldehyde in medicine for people and DNA from fetal, babies. Didn't understand why they would do that. And not to mention the fluoride and, it's just a big toxic cocktail.
But they say, that vaccines are going to help a lot of people too.
I know, well, one of my daughters got her vaccine and came home and we thought she was throwing a tantrum. She was screaming. 8 hours she threw a tantrum for after a vaccine. I didn't know until, didn't realise until I'd done the research and what some of the side effects are, or potentially could be, and, they include things like SIDS, babies dying just for no apparent reason, so, and autism, it's just so much that's rife at the moment. Like, I can't get my head around the fact that so much money has been thrown at cancer research, but the treatment for cancer has not changed in many, many years, and it's still a toxic solution. So people who do have their cancer cured end up dying of a different kind of cancer. So it's just doesn't make sense.
Is that what happened with your husband?
No, he didn't get to the treatment. We were going to try alternatives. He went down, he had his tattoos done so he could have his chemo, but he never got any further. He was sent home. We brought him home from Adelaide to here. They were prescribing medicines and I was trying to find alternatives, like blood thinners. They wanted me to inject him every day in the stomach. But, with a bit of research, we know turmeric and other things thins the blood, so we were trying to go that way. And even the cancer doctor in Adelaide said his mother swears by turmeric, so he wasn't going to say, don't do that, but yeah, so. Sorry.
It's okay.
Last time he was put into hospital here, he'd got a bit of a chest infection. Not only did we have to sit in the lobby of the hospital with the doors opening and closing for 3 hours because there was no staff there to clean a room for him to go in. There were empty rooms. When he did get a room, they gave him a swab in his nose, the PCR test. And the look on his face, I could tell that it hurt so much. And from there he went downhill. And he was supposed to be taken to Adelaide on the care flight with the actual doctors, but they didn't get around to that, and then they downgraded the need. Then he got to Adelaide and I had to drive, and he was ramped at the hospital, at the airport and then the hospital. And then I got a phone call from him. There was nowhere for them to go, so he stays in the ambulance until, the ambulance in front of them has been dealt with. So, and Adelaide's been terrible since all of this started. Probably before then anyway. They closed the old hospital down too soon, I believe. But yeah, so this was 2021, and yeah, COVID was in full swing according to the medical health professionals. But my experience at the hospital was not what they were telling us.
What was your experience?
Like, we were made to wait and wait and wait, and there were empty beds, or there were people who should have been in to see a doctor straight away, And when I finally got in to see him the second time, when I finally got to Adelaide and got in there, there was one person standing outside the room with a mask on and a computer screen, watching him through the glass. And he was so confused. He was trying to get out of the bed and trying to make sense of what was going on. And all they could say was that he was being difficult. So they drugged him up to try and stop him from being difficult, but he was just trying to make sense of things. So, yeah.
Did you get to stay with him?
I wouldn't leave. When I looked at what the hospital provided, they had this wonderful video with Jane Riley.
Gina Riley.
Jane, she was a weather girl here for many years. I think she even came from Whyalla. But she was saying how every room had a bed for, carers or family. And it was just a little sofa thing at the, under the window. But the bed was there, so I wasn't moving. And they said, "Oh, we'll have to ask the duty nurse." And I wouldn't let them kick me out. So I stayed there with him, and I did most of his nursing. Recorded everything, all of the medicines they were giving him. Stopped them from giving him some because I could see the effect on him. And in the end, he wasn't even in pain, but they were still trying to give him pain meds, saying that he should be in pain. Yes, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about, is it?
That's all right. It's all right.
Not what we're meant to be talking about.
No, it's interesting, hospitals under COVID.
Yes. I mean, no, I don't want to get... I don't know any names specifically, but you could tell that the nursing staff and the medical staff didn't believe what they were being made to do, the wearing of the masks because every time they got the chance, they would take them off. So, yeah, you could tell that they didn't believe it, but they didn't have a choice. They wanted to keep their jobs, so the only people I did hear talking about how wonderful the mandates were and the measures were the cleaning staff. But then they got a lot of extra work during that time, didn't they? So, yeah.
What's with all the elephants?
I just love elephants.
Why?
Because they're majestic and they're endangered, and they're just so peaceful by nature. Yes.
How do you see yourself going forward?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so we heard later down the road that she left us. So yeah. I've got some more interviews. I'll put them up the next few days while I'm in the area. Might be of interest to the people who are interviewed and stuff. But the last one is really special. Now, this girl, Amber, actually, I'll tell you what happened at the end. So we were in Streaky Bay. We'd done a few interviews there, quite a few actually. And then this young girl, I think she's 21, walked up to us and said, "I hear you're capturing stories." I said, "Or recording stories." I said, "Yes." She didn't know who we were, never heard of us. And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "I've got a story and I want to speak." And it was blowing like crazy. And so we got her in. Charlotte was the little truck that we had. And she did this interview. Now, I wrote the novel Goodbye Road based on the fact that we got ostracized from society, and we were kicked out onto Goodbye Road, like, don't come back. And so we became the orphans of Goodbye Road. And a lot of us found each other on there, and we've made lives with the orphans of Goodbye Road. But this epitomizes, it's like the old guy before. Well, this is a young Australian girl who didn't want to take a vaccination and was kicked out of society for a period. She was kicked out to Goodbye Road, and she was an orphan of Goodbye Road, one of our daughters. And we made her an orphan because she wouldn't let us put stuff into her body that she didn't want to have. So this is Amber.
Actually in Charlotte, the truck's called Charlotte. And we're with
Amber.
Amber. Hello, Amber. Now, Amber, what are you doing in what's becoming an icon of the resistance, Charlotte?
What am I doing in here?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're having a chat, I think, regarding the whole world and the situation we got going on right now. But yeah, I've just been at work, working at a little cafe in town, and just happened to come across you guys, so yeah.
And what do you think's going on from your perspective?
In the world, what I think is going on, I think it's all a plan. Like, I think there's a lot more going on than what's actually been told to us people. I think there's what we've been told is going on is there's a really deadly virus happening, but it's all made.
You don't buy it?
I don't buy it. No. No.
Do you think there's something going around? I mean, a few of us have got sick with stuff. I've had something which was kind of like a flu, really.
I think it is the flu, but I think it's like a man-made version of the flu. But yeah, I read this thing and it was like, what could be scarier than something that's you can't actually see?
Yeah.
You know, and it can fool so many people, and which it has.
Yeah.
Like, and then we're all wearing these masks.
So you don't think we got this virus over someone that was eating a bat on a stick?
No, and that's so funny. Like, I feel like everyone's just forgotten the actual reason what they said it was so long ago. Like, do we really believe it was from a bat?
Do you know what's even funnier?
What?
Is that somewhere in the world pre-COVID, there was a person whose job it was to stick sticks up bats' asses.
Really? Oh my God, there you go. Yeah, yes.
That man is now unemployed.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what about your thoughts on the mandates and the vaccine?
Yeah, I'm really sad about it. I think it's really sad. I mean, it's just splitting up people. It's discriminating so many people. Even it's getting to families and that, like, it's tearing families apart because different views. Like, my mum has a different view to me and we can't talk on the subject. We've got a good relationship and everything, but they're using fear and all of their control to manipulate people and create war.
Do you have other subjects you could speak about with your mum where she goes, we don't speak about that? Or is this, or before did you have a very easy, where you could debate things?
She's quite stubborn already, so it's always kind of been like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. But yeah, it's just basically with this subject, like it's, you have your opinion and I have mine and I don't want to hear anything.
But that's not actually the case, because the people who have the opinion that you should take it are now basically besieging the rest of the country and saying if you don't take it, basically you're literally on the verge of you can't live.
We're not actually allowed to have a different opinion from what they're trying to sell us.
Yeah.
So that's really sad. Even like my friends, like it'll be all fear driven. Like we'll be talking about things and we'll share an article on COVID and how maybe something's been set up or something's been organised or the data's been different. Like I've had a friend that's just left the group chat and just won't talk to anyone anymore because it's like, you can't be saying that, you can't be writing that, and then she just leave. Like,
and why can't you do it? Why can't you talk about it? Because it's changing our entire culture.
Exactly. Why can't we talk about it? I don't know, because I feel like the people that have been vaccinated, my opinion is once they're jabbed, it's like, they're locked into this and they kind of feel like that. So if you give them any other information rather than what they're being sold, they feel like their life is at risk, and it is scary because we don't know.
It's in their veins.
Exactly. We don't know. No one knows. It's a trial.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and it's hard because they're your friends and they're your family and they're your people, they're your neighbours. And, yeah, just none of it's been fair from the beginning.
I'm taking it for granted that you haven't been jabbed. How has going against the flow affected your life?
It's been really hard, like being young. I mean, there has been positives because I've met a lot of like-minded people and people that I wouldn't normally talk to, and I try to take the positives, but it has been really hard. Like, I was living in WA for ages until they've made it mandatory that I have to be vaccinated in order to have a job. So I've had to pack up shop, leave all my mates behind, start fresh, which has been good for self-development and everything, but it also, that's been hard. And it's been hard to have conversations with friends because they're so, you know, I feel like being young too, you kind of just, a lot of my mates will just get it over and done with because they want to just live their life. You know, they want to work, they want to go out and be able to hang out with friends, they want to party, they want to go to festivals. And I think the government is, you know, you can't go out drinking, you can't go with your friends, you can't even go to a bottle shop. Like, they've taken away all of our rights. And being young, like, this is the time of your life. It's meant to be. We can't travel, you know?
How old are you, just out of interest?
I'm 21.
So how have you managed to not give in to that amount of pressure? What is it about you that's different from them?
Sometimes you have to be a bit sneaky and you do have to break the rules, even if it is, you know, not what they want you to do, but what are these rules anyway?
Yeah.
But yeah, going over to WA, I think my timing was just really well, like really lucky and everything because I got to...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you have this integrity in you, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's, which is different from the others. Where do you think that integrity comes from?
I don't know. It's been good because I've had my dad and his side of the family to back me. I think that's really helped, but yeah, I don't know where it comes from. I think it's also like frustration and anger, and just if I were just to get this jab, I'd just be another number, you know. And even if it did mean that I'd be able to like live my life normally, however they want me to be, it's such a bigger thing what's going on, and I couldn't do it. Like, I could not sit there and do it and just, you know, just be another number, just be like this. It needs people to stand up and talk about it and fight, and yeah, it's a big thing for me, having rights, and everyone deserves them, and it's not fair. So
you're at peace with the fact that your integrity and your freedom is going to come at a cost?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And have you got a boyfriend? Is he on the same page?
No, I don't have a partner. It was really lucky though. I met some really amazing friends when I was in Esperance, but I have a few good friends now that share the same values as me, and it's so nice because for ages I was living in Perth and everyone around me was like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you getting it? Oh, you can't come out this Friday. You can't. You have to. Oh, you can't." Like, you know, I felt so alone, and I felt like I couldn't be real with people because when I tried to, they'd just get frustrated with me and they wouldn't want to buy what I had to say. So, but I'm really glad I stuck to my guns and, you know, just kept going because my people and the right people have all, you know, they all surround me now. So,
are you surprised by yourself that you passed your own test? You know, because you've been, like you said, you've been lonely, you've had all this pressure, you've had to leave. So all these things you could have buckled and said, screw it, I'll just get it. Instead you haven't. Instead you're sitting in Streaky Bay in a resistance truck. Are you surprised yourself that you've got that much strength to stand by your principles?
I mean, like, looking at it like that is I'm proud of myself, but I'm not surprised that I had to stick to that because there's no way I'm getting that thing stuck in my arm. So
Well,
Yeah.
well, the other thing we were trying to say, because we've been trying to say it for ages, the government has somehow convinced young people that it's cool to be compliant, and we think it's cool to be a freedom fighter. So look into the camera and tell them which one you think it's cooler to be.
It's a lot cooler to be a freedom fighter. Yeah.
That was Amber, and I've actually written a play which I've referred to her in it for her beauty. So that's some of the interviews we did here. There's lots more, but I'll put some up. But we're in the area, heading down to Port Lincoln. So if you did do the interviews, or you want to speak, or you just want to say hello, we're just meeting people. There's no tour, there's no agenda or anything like that, except eventually I'm going to see my mum probably in a couple of weeks. So anyway, this is the lucky country to go out and stay free.
When I met Jesus Christ, he was almost 10 years old, and he was helping his mother push a trolley full of all they owned. And because they couldn't find an inn they could get in, they were heading to the city and leaving Bethlehem. Couldn't you perform a miracle? I'm out of them, he said. I tried turning nothing into warmth, but it just made my mother cry. It just made my mother cry. Mary Magdalene has become a man, and tonight he's old, and she has been riding my tram. Now it's late and she's trying to sleep beneath a poster for a bank. Your dreams are important to us as it bathes her face in gold. Come give us your natural gifts, we make wealth from toil. Come pretend for history's page where I sing Australia.
Heard of anyone watching?
Pretend that we're all advancing Australia fair. Back down the road I found the church we built on the black man's bones was empty, and out the front a sign read all but sold. A sign read all but sold. And we all owe so much money, but to whom we're not quite sure. So head down, we just keep running along our fading golden shores. So head down, we just keep running